What is up, fans of the fight game? We're back with UFC 291. These are the cards that excite us. These are the stack cards, top to bottom. Dustin Poirier versus Justin Gaethje. Not much to say so far about that one. You know that's going to be a banger. So we're excited to get to it. Here's that intro. It's been a minute, Alex.
Oh yeah. We are now doing just the big ones, and in that time I switched to the juices. No more beer for Alex.
Oh, dude, we're both drinking healthy today. This looks like a beer, but it's actually just water. Liquid
This,
death. Jumped
but
on the
I have
water.
the water too.
All right, staying hydrated.
Oh yeah.
This is what happens. You're in the dojo. Was it like five days a week now? You gotta stay hydrated, bro.
Oh yeah. Plus I'm teaching a kids again, so it's not.
Oh
I mean,
shit.
it's fun being again, but like fucking kids running around, it's not fun.
Yeah. Welcome back, bro. Welcome back to the kids classes.
I'm not gonna say anything to that.
I could tell by the gray hairs in your beard.
Yeah, I'm getting old, but no, I'm enjoying again. Like it's fun. Like just to deal with the kids and everything. But like you need a lot of patience and a lot of screaming. That's for sure.
Yeah, I remember when I first started seeing the kids classes, I saw some of yours and you ran a tight ship, man. You're able to teach just sitting from one spot, do this, do that, and like they're fucking doing it. So I'm sure you could crack them into shape again over there.
I'm trying. I'm giving my best, but like these classes are much bigger. There's like 20, 30 kids, and
Oh, that's
I'm by
huge.
myself, so it's not easy task, but I'm getting there. I had even tonight one kid like running and run directly in the how to say the thing that holds the bag. Like
Oh shit.
yeah, directly with the head.
Oh, the metal part?
Yeah.
Oh my god. I dealt with that at one of my jobs. I mean, not to get completely off topic, but yeah, I had to call an ambulance. He split his head open. It was a whole thing. There's blood everywhere. I hope it wasn't that bad.
No. This kid is tough. It's Russian kids, and he just
Oh
cried
yeah.
2 minutes.
They don't even bleed, man.
He cried like 2 minutes, and not even too much. And then he was just like, "Okay." I'm like,
Ah.
"Okay."
Oh man, sign him up for some fights, dude.
No, bro. Like you should see them on kickboxing classes, and when they do the sparring, like they have like full gear and everything, and they're sparring, and I'm just like, kids, they're kids.
The kids are doing that? Shit, I want to hop into one of those classes, you know.
Just to beat up the kids. I mean, you can maybe like slide in like 14 years old kid.
Yeah.
You
Yeah, I'll
just need
just
to
shave,
shave
you
your
know.
mustache,
Yeah. No, I got it. Just
and
cover
then
up my
like,
tats. All right, should we get into some fights, brother?
I almost set you up for a fight with the kids. Okay, yeah, let's go. So I guess I'm first today. We have so we have stack card. I think one of the best of this year. We have Dustin Poirier against Justin Gaethje. We have Jan Blachowicz against Alex Pereira, Stephen Thompson, Michael Pereira, Tony Ferguson, Bobby Green, and Michael Chiesa against Kevin Holland. So stacked card. I think it's gonna be fun. So let's start breaking it down one by one. Like let's start with main event. Uh, so let me start the timer. So it's up on me. Ready? Let's go. Yeah, like you see, guys, Dustin Poirier is slight favorite, minus 150. On Justin Gaethje is like plus 130. So they're both coming after the victory. What we saw last year, it was a crazy one of the best fights of the year, maybe like even officially best fight of the year. Dustin against Michael Chandler. Uh, we saw there like he was like even rocked a couple of times at the beginning. He managed to end up on top, win that fight. I think he really mature as a fighter. Like you can see him also like talking. He doesn't have to do this anymore after two fights against Conor. Now he's like picking and choosing like who is really gonna make him to want to fight, and this is the fight, and they're going for BMF belt. So I think he
Oh,
will.
bro, the timer's not going.
Okay, sorry. It's your job. I cannot see this. Okay,
All right, you got a little lead off. It's all right.
okay, up to me.
Oh, so you're taking away from my time too.
Sorry, don't complain. Let me finish. Okay, I have a
All right,
1 minute
go for it.
less. Okay, 45 seconds less. I see, and I'm talking. I have even less. Okay,
Go for it.
so where was I? Yeah, so I think he really matured. Like in the last fight that Justin Gaethje had against Fischer, we saw him like maturing. Like surprisingly, he went a couple times for a takedown. He was more composed. He did really smartly. Didn't go all the way crazy like like he was usually going. So I think he's like on his process of maturing and getting on that level where I think Dustin is now. So for me, like Dustin will be slight favorite just because like I said, those processes, I think he's already like completely matured fighter, and I think he will get this belt around his waist, even though I think this belt is bullshit, but I guess they need something to sell the story. Okay, so I got Dustin winning by decision. Let's say like that. Up to you.
All right, dude, I forgot that it was even for this fake belt, the BMF belt, and that just kind of speaks to how good the actual fight is. Like for me, I was excited, fake belt or not, real belt or not. This is a fucking awesome fight, but and you're saying a little bit about in the Chandler fight, Dustin Poirier got rocked. The thing with Dustin and Gaethje, actually, both of these guys, win or lose, they're probably going to take some damage. And in the 5 years since they fought, who's taken more damage? How has their career changed? I agree. I think they've both kind of matured. Maybe Dustin Poirier has matured in a different kind of way, starting his own business and getting those two back-to-back Conor McGregor fights. That's going to change your life a bit, I would imagine. So, how does that change his hunger for the fight game? You said he doesn't need this. He wants to do this because he enjoys fighting. How is that gonna affect kind of his hunger coming into this? Looking even more into the stats, it's even harder to kind of choose who's gonna win this. They have the same record since fighting each other. I don't know if you've seen this stat. They're both 6 fights, 6 wins, 2 losses, and both losses are by a submission to the same two guys, Oliveira and Khabib. So it's really hard if you're just looking at the stats and the numbers, like who's gonna pull this off. But if you look a little bit deeper, I do favor Poirier in this, mainly because I think he's a more disciplined striker, and in the course of the 5 rounds, who's going to be more disciplined with their cardio, their gas tank, with their defense. And I think that's going to be Dustin Poirier, especially if it comes down to, who is willing to maybe grapple if they have to. I think Gaethje showed 1 takedown in his entire UFC career in his last fight. So maybe he's a changed man. Maybe he's going back to his wrestling roots. But from what I've seen, I think Poirier is willing to mix it up if he has to. It's not going to be easy to take Gaethje down, but I think the fact that he's willing to make it a grappling match if he has to win the round, I think that's going to play a big part. In 5 rounds, if you have more ways to win, I'm usually gonna go with that guy. So Dustin Poirier is my pick for this one, but I mean it's gonna be a banger. I think everyone who tunes in is gonna be winning during that fight. On to the next.
Yeah, on the next one we have Jan Blachowicz and Alex Pereira. This was almost like a fight for the light heavyweight belt, but I guess for some reason they didn't push it all the way. But anyway, it's a great matchup. Like it's opening a lot of questions. It's opening what kind of Alex Pereira are we gonna see in 205. It's also opening a question: is Jan done, or maybe like he has another run for the title? Like for sure, what we see from him in last couple of fights, it's like that he doesn't have a plan to slow down, even against like maybe the most dangerous striker in that category, Ankalaev, he had a pretty solid match. It was a draw. Before that, like against one of the top dogs in 205, Alexander Rakic, he managed to get the W. I mean, due to injury, but like still, he had a really solid performance. On the feet. When he was losing the fight because he got taken down a couple times by Rakic. But luckily for him, Rakic had that injury, so he managed to get the W. Uh, what I'm putting on the side of Pereira, I think he's gonna be much fresher than in 185. Also, like Glover had a fight against Blachowicz, so they already went like through that camp, like scanning him, preparing the tactics and everything. So that's gonna be a great, um, how to say, on the side of the Alex, because they already like have a lot of information about Blachowicz. Uh, but like again, and I said it before, Jan is one of the guys who has like the highest IQ, I think, in fighting game, and that experience. And I think he still didn't slow down, and I think he will just be big for Alex Pereira in adapting to that 205. Even though Alex is pretty huge, even for that category. But I think the experience and the fighting IQ will get another victory for Jan Blachowicz. But I wouldn't be surprised if Alex even now show more power and get an easy KO. But let's see. Up to you.
Yeah, I think that is going to be the way that Pereira would win, is by like an easy KO. I don't really see him winning a grueling fight, over the course of the 3 rounds. And that's just because Jan Blachowicz, over the long haul, he can freaking fight. And against high level strikers, we've seen that against Izzy. Not only can he hang with a high level striker, but he can definitely take them down. And if Alex Pereira hasn't considerably improved since his fight against Stylebender, I don't think he's getting up if he gets down against Blachowicz. I think it's going to be a long night, possibly a quick one with a submission. Blachowicz is a jiu-jitsu black belt. On top of that, not a lot of people know Blachowicz is actually a Muay Thai champ too over in Europe. So maybe it's not that surprising that he was able to hang with Stylebender. He didn't piece up Izzy. He didn't knock him out, obviously, but to even be comfortable with a high level striker, you have to also be high level. So I wouldn't be surprised if Pereira catches 1 or 2 punches or throws 1 or 2 punches, connects. He doesn't need that much behind his punches, especially he's not cutting a lot of weight for this. But I think if it goes outside of round one, Jan Blachowicz is probably winning this fight. And if he gets it down in the first round, I think it's probably a lock because Jan's a big boy. He knows how to grapple. He knows how to keep them down. Um, yeah, I'm going with Jan as my fight pick, but as a fight fan, I think it would be an incredible story to have Pereira win. It would be a quick title shot. Um, you know, if he beats Blachowicz, and it's currently a vacant title, so I could potentially see like some shenanigans with Stylebender hopping in there, Pereira hopping in there for like a new vacant title or some shit. I mean, it's clear. It's clear that the UFC kind of wants to set up this trilogy, right? I mean, why else would you give him such a high profile fight? Number three, Alex Pereira is jumping up to fight the number three in the division. It's clear they want to get him a fast track to the title again. And what better way to sell pay per views than a title fight, an MMA trilogy? There's some history with Stylebender. I think that is the fight that I want to see play out, but Jan's probably winning this one. That's my pick. Next.
Okay, who we got next? We have Stephen Thompson and Michael Pereira. So we have a Thompson as a favorite, slight favorite, minus 150. Pereira is underdog plus 130. So I'm surprised with this one. Like Stephen Thompson is 40 years old. Like Even his last performance against Holland wasn't that great. I think that Holland went more serious to that match and went for the takedowns, and not like playing around. He would win that fight, in my opinion. Like, and we have Pereira, who is like 11 years younger. Similar styles. Just I think he has more power in his punches, even though KOs doesn't say that. Like Stephen Thompson has six, and Pereira only one. But like most of the time, Thompson, it was like from the counter. He's really good, really precise, but I think much more power Pereira has. And now, if you see that Thompson slowed down over the years, I think that's gonna be good for Pereira. To push forward. It will be the biggest name that he's gonna have on his record, so I think he's gonna come highly motivated and finally to get like in that top 10, 10. If you see, he's now like 15th on the rankings, so beating up Thompson is going to put him in top 10, so that is like perfect opportunity for him to finally show all his potential and like that flashiness that he has, that he really deserved to be with the top dogs. So um, I mean, I think this is going to be a boring fight, very possibly. Like if you see their styles, pretty easily, it can go like pretty boring, or it can be the maybe the best fight if you take away Justin and Dustin. It's going
Mhm.
to be like number two of the night. But be patient on this one and just pay attention on technique, because it can be, like I said, boring fight. But I'm gonna go with younger guy, with Pereira, and I think he's more motivated to get this W.
All right, well, I think this is the first one so far where we have different picks. I'm going Wonder Boy. I think as long as it stays standing, possibly even if it goes to the ground, Wonder Boy is better everywhere. Yeah, he's older, a little bit slower now, but he's just a better all around fighter. Michel Pereira, I think he's got one of the lowest fight IQs in the game. And it's just funny that back to back fights, Wonder Boy versus Holland. Holland showed a terrible fight IQ, and then now he's fighting Pereira. Have you seen Pereira's fight against Tristan Connolly? Do you know this fight I'm talking about?
I
From the
think I remember.
opening bell, this dude just starts doing fucking full on flips and shit, and just like cartwheels running to him. And I'm not gonna lie, it was one of the more entertaining fights I've ever seen. So I'm excited for that if he does that. But I mean, he ended up losing the fight. I think I think he succeeded in putting on a show, but that fight and in other fights, I think he has trouble with managing his gas tank. We've seen some fights where he kind of overcompensates and then he doesn't throw anything. Like he's trying to save all of his gas. So he's kind of struggling, in my opinion, to find a balance between, let's put on a show, let's get the finish excitingly, and then, hey, let's not get knocked out. Let's manage the gas tank. And that is where I think Stephen Wonderboy Thompson thrives. If you're going to throw punches and come forward to him, he's there to counter you, step, slide out, and slide back in. And if you're going to indulge him in a boring fight, also Wonder Boy, he's great at those boring fights, at the point fighting. So I think Stephen Wonderboy Thompson can win this everywhere, but again, he's a little bit older. Maybe Pereira's hungrier. He does have power. If anybody has a puncher's chance, it's Michel Pereira, as well as like a fucking rolling thunder chance and flying knee chance. He's throwing everything at him. So I'm picking Wonder Boy though. On to the next one.
Yeah, talking about olds, we have Tony Ferguson against Bobby Green. Tony Ferguson, pretty big underdog, plus 310. Bobby Green, heavy favorite, minus 410. So I don't even remember like when Tony won his last fight. I think it's like 4 or 5 years ago. He is on pretty bad a losing streak. Even his last fight against Diaz, he looked okay, not that, how to say, bad, but it's just like I think he shouldn't fight anymore. Talking about that, we have Bobby Green, who is like lately pretty solid. Even if you look his UFC score, it's like 10-9, 1-1. But like he's there for ages. He's pretty, I think, maturing now. Also, like what we were saying about Dustin and getting his groove. And unfortunately, his last fight he got like with Jared Gordon, that unfortunate head button, and that stopped. And I think he's gonna come even hungrier in this fight. Bigger name, opportunity to put his name out there. And I think with his boxing and movement, he will just be too much for Tony Ferguson. And I see him getting easy victory. So I'm gonna go with Bobby Green.
Yeah, Tony Ferguson's in a weird spot because he went from being at the top of the division, 12-0, to losing 5 in a row, and all 5 of those he got beat pretty bad. Even in the fights where he looked decent at first, against Diaz, against Chandler, even he looked pretty good, and then he just got finished. And this is a guy who used to never get finished, whether it's KO or submission. So he's in a weird spot. He's fought a lot of great guys and lost, but he's taken so much damage. If he doesn't retire, he needs to fight people lower down the totem pole. I think this is the first time he's fought a guy that's like unranked. They're both unranked, actually. Ferguson's unranked now in a long while. Yeah, I think this will be an actual walk in the park, like you said, with Bobby Green. In his last fight, I thought he looked great. He showboated probably a little bit too much against Drew Dober. Maybe didn't show him enough respect, and then he got knocked out. I think, I think he could show even less respect in this fight and still win. So I don't see a way that he loses this fight against Tony Ferguson. My pick's Bobby Green in this one. Decision, probably. Yeah. I see him outpointing him. On to the next one. It's you, brother.
Okay, and the last one we have Michael Chiesa against Kevin Holland. So Michael Chiesa is underdog plus 125. Kevin Holland slight favorite minus 145. So Chiesa is coming after defeat against Brady, and I think maybe that's one of the first time that we saw him that he lost in those grappling exchanges, and his stand up looked pretty good. Um, and that's usually how he was winning the fights, by grappling, by putting the pressure on the guys. And I don't know what's happening with him lately, but like he's switching to stand up fighter. I don't know. And in this one, um, we have Kevin Holland, and we already talked a little bit about him. Like what to say. Uh, it all depends on the day how he's gonna show up. You know, I pick him in this fight because I think if he's his night, he can finish almost anybody. But like again, all depends on his mood. So my time is short, so I'm just gonna say Kevin Holland by KO again after the finishing Ponzinibbio.
You usually I never look at the odds before making the picks, and usually I end up picking the favorite. I didn't know that Kiz is a decent sized underdog in this one, especially being a ranked fighter as opposed to Kevin Holland unranked. I think that speaks more to Kevin Holland's willingness to fight in 2 different divisions, though. And that's just kind of the wild man Kevin Holland is. He's wild enough to say to Wonder Boy, "Hey, I'm just going to strike with you, not go to the ground." I think that's the exact kind of decision making that will not be good against Michael Chiesa, someone who will definitely try to get you to the ground. Yes, he's striked a little bit more than usual, but I think this one he's going to be able to get Kevin Holland down work his grappling. Hopefully he can get the finish because I do think Holland has a better gas tank than Chiesa, but we'll see. Maybe he could win 2 rounds in the grappling. I'm almost out of time, so I'm picking Chiesa by decision.
Ah, I was hoping your time will start because this one is shaky. I don't know. On this one, I was thinking even to change it to Chiesa, but like I stay with Kevin Holland. I don't know. He's the weird guy, and but later I saw he's a favorite, I was like, shit. I don't know why I pick him. I always like to go with underdogs. So let's go and see what we had last time, not last week. Now we are skipping. Okay, number 3 next to my name. I won the last week. Okay, here. Thank you. I'm gonna catch you until end of the. So we have both on Dustin, we have both on Jan. So here you have Thompson, I have Pereira. We both got Bobby Green, and the last or the first fight of the main card, we have opposite opinions. You had Chiesa, I have Holland. So let's see if you go on our picks, how much money you can get.
Let's see, who's this? This has got to be yours then, huh?
Yeah, I don't see. So basically, on $10, you can get 122. Like you see, I didn't put Bobby Green. Everything that's above 200 minus 200, you're not gonna see it on my parlays. That's a rule that I have, and that's how it goes. So for both of us, I took that off from the betting aspect. So if you go with my picks, you're gonna have 122. If you go with Patrick's pick, you're gonna have 117. Still, you have less than me every time.
Hey, but these are the good picks, so it's still it's 117 of the money that you're making, though. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, okay. No, I like your picks. Like it can go either way. Like you have your opinion, I have my opinion. That's why I like doing these shows with you, because after that I really think, and then I put bigger money on something between. Like then
Mhm.
I see all the sides. The sides of the story.
I
So
just make the picks I think will work, but I do think that you have a knack for finding where the money is to be made. And sometimes it's not even on the main card. Sometimes it's on the prelims, maybe where the odds makers aren't paying as much attention to what's going down.
yeah, I'm pretty good in finding underdogs. Even though last weekend wasn't good for me, I think it was one of the worst ever. But again, I
Really?
went in the crazy mode and I was gambling too much. But let's skip that subject. Let's go for the next one. So yeah, this is I think from the last time, from UFC 290, and this is our picks. So basically, we did all picks were the same. I just choose Pantoja against Moreno, and I got that number 3 next to my name. How did we do? I think we missed only. Oh no, we missed Whitaker also.
Wow, that Whitaker fight, I did not see that coming.
Yeah, yeah. I
That and the Pantoja, fucking Jalen Turner too, against Dan Hooker. Dan Hooker fucking broke his arm, broke his face in that fight, and still pulled it off.
yeah,
Dude
we
is a
missed
madman.
pretty bad in this one.
Yeah,
So move that out of the screen. So
yeah. Let's get rid
I
of
don't
this,
want to look at that.
bro. So we got that fight, and we don't normally talk about boxing, but are you betting this weekend on this fight?
I don't know, like really, like I don't know what to say. Like I got so many times disappointed in MMA fighters moving to fight Jake Paul. So this is gonna be a heartbreak. So I cannot put even my money, but like I think Nate Diaz is like underdog 200 something. Like.
Oh, bro, that's not this weekend. What fight is this? Who's
I
boxing this
think that's on
weekend?
5th. Yeah, that's the next weekend. I don't know. What's this weekend?
I thought it was Spence Crawford. Yeah, it's Earl Spence versus Terrence Crawford. You follow either of these guys? These guys are like
No.
the best dudes in those weight classes right now. This is something that happens a lot in MMA, but not so much in the boxing arena where the best fight the best. So I'm kind of excited for that. But I like that you're looking at that Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz fight.
Yeah, yeah. I thought you're talking about that. Like that's how much I follow boxing.
Yeah.
No, I just follow heavyweights, um, and then more or less, all because Tyson Fury. I really like to watch him. Uh,
He's gonna murder fucking Ngannou, man.
that's gonna be interesting one. Again, I think the one where the MMA fighter gonna get embarrassed.
Yeah, it's like a lot of these MMA fans. I get that you're rooting for Ngannou. That'd be great if he won, but like that puncher's chance doesn't exist as much in boxing with those gloves. And Fury's bigger than probably anybody that Ngannou's fought. I want to say so,
Yeah,
even
this
less
kid.
so. But I mean, good for Ngannou. I'm gonna watch for sure.
I mean, he won already. Like as soon as he
Yeah,
signed that contract, he won.
he just keeps winning, man.
Yeah, win or lose, at the end of the day, it's just like,
I want that's the fight I want to see is Jake Paul versus Ngannou. I think that'd be cool.
yeah, that's the one that I would really then put the money on. I
uh,
don't see, like that makes sense. I don't know. Like, did you saw that video? Nate Diaz, um, hitting the pads.
I didn't, but I've heard like Nate Diaz fans talking about it, and then even they're saying like, oh, they're worried, like it's not looking good. What
Yeah,
do you think about it? I haven't seen it. Was it good?
it was terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like how he fights, and what he can do. Who knows how much he was
The-
high. Not only what's really worrying me, like what we see from Nick Diaz in last fight against Robbie Lawler. Like they're just like, they're humans too. Like they're just maybe like sick of fighting, and they're just like
Yeah.
trying to get a paycheck, and then like they were always ready. Like triathlons, this, that. Maybe just like they're done with training. And that's what
Yeah.
really worries me. And then you're gonna lose and embarrass yourself. Like against the kid who started fighting yesterday.
Right. It's a kind of weird spot as like MMA the sport where it's like the fans they're happy to see some of these MMA fighters go just because hey, this is the biggest payday they'll ever get. It's like what does that say about MMA, you know?
Yeah, that's sad.
Like
That's
to
sad.
go in there to lose embarrassingly, and that's a win because you get paid. Like, oh man, I wish we could get more money into this sport, but
Yeah,
it
but
is what it is.
talking about that, I think MMA even produce more money as I think, let's say, I don't know even how many boxing fans will really watch that. I think
Mhm.
most of the people who are coming to watch that are like maybe Jake Paul followers and MMA fans.
Oh, for
To be
sure.
honest, the only deal is like how in boxing they split the money. You get much more for the whole from the whole revenue. In MMA, it's only like I think 15% is going for the fighters. You know, and that's what's like not fair. Like that I think should be changed in near future. That the fighters are getting much more from the complete revenue of the event or whatever. I don't know how to explain nice technically, but like you got a point what I want to say.
Yeah, it's weird to say, but I think like Jake Paul is doing more for the sport of MMA than Dana White. A little bit. I mean, that might not be completely accurate, but as far as money in the pockets for the effort you put in, probably Jake Paul is.
Yeah, you cannot say for the complete sport, but
Yeah,
for the athletes that manage to cross the path with him, like
yeah,
I think even, but it is how it is, like that he doesn't do what he's doing, he wouldn't put the sport on this level. It's
hmm
just now like when you have to share a little bit more, they're just like closing the gas line for some reason. Like they just I guess they have too many expenses with those PIs, this, that, and I guess the people on the top want to get as much as cream and cherries as they can. Why to change and give and share the money if they don't have to, you know?
Yeah.
And
How it
fighters
goes.
don't want to unite, make those, like, how to say, how they have it, like, what they try to do a couple times to make the
Like a
union.
union, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just for some reason, like, they're always like, it's easy for them to divide them, you know, like the guys who are down, they cannot say anything because they will not get the fights or they're gonna get kicked out of the organization. Again, we are coming to probably like controlling and typical politics, you know.
Right.
So
The
it
the
is.
UFC has been doing this for years, you know. They know the right people to pay, whether that's like whoever or the fighters, just to keep them a little bit quieter. But times are changing. I think it's just a little bit slower, but it'll get there.
No, it's gonna get eventually like
Yeah.
there, you know. I think like when the Dana get out, like, you know, and there is no so much like a one certain figure that's controlling everything and manage to put the fear between the fighters or give money whoever he has to give, you know. It's gonna just come the time when it's gonna be just like this, and
No.
like average fighters are gonna have more, you know. They will not have to work, but let's see. It's gonna be
Either way, we
fun.
get to talk about fights, so I'm happy. We get to watch fights, enjoy them.
Yeah, and now we have them every weekend, so we even decided like to start skipping and just doing the big cards. There we have
Yeah,
so many fights.
yeah.
So let's see how this weekend's gonna play out, and I don't even know when we have the next big one.
What is the next pay per view? That'd be UFC 292. I feel like the next couple ones coming up are pretty stacked. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. This is Sean O'Malley versus Aljo Sterling. And yeah, that's the headliner. Chris Weidman's making a comeback versus Brad Tavares. Cody Garbrandt's getting back in there versus Mario Batista. Ian Machado Gary, I believe he's still in undefeated. He's stepping up quite largely against Jeff Neal. Cheeto Vera versus Pedro Munoz, and the champ Zhang Weili defending her belt against Amanda Lemos. So
Yeah,
that's a pretty tight one right there.
yep. And we have right away, I think maybe even next contender for bantamweight. We have, like you said, Vera and Munoz.
Hmm.
So that's gonna be interesting. Yeah, pretty good card. I mean, it's not like this one that makes like fans more exciting, but like pretty stacked card too. You know, pretty
Yeah.
quality, good quality. Okay, guys, stay tuned. Put some money on our bets, but just bet the money that you can afford to lose.
Good, wise decisions. All right. Peace out, everyone. Peace, brother.
Have a good night.